please stand, join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. A moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. This is the first meeting that we have our new 360 camera and are broadcasting this over GoToMeeting. There's no one currently on GoToMeeting, but there are a couple people who might get on. Just want to make you aware. And that will be something we'll be doing going forward, at least for the foreseeable future. So if you want to access our meetings remotely, you can get on the GoToMeeting via our website. The meeting, of course, is being recorded, and I think the meeting is part of public record. Since the last time the Board of Commissioners met, we have had a couple of executive sessions and a couple of informational meetings. First of all, I'm not sure if the one with the school district on March 28th was mentioned, so I'm getting that one. We had a meeting with the solicitor on the 19th pertaining to pending legal matters. On the 18th, we had a personnel meeting pertaining to grants, or grant writer, and personnel matters within that office. Salary board executive session was immediately following the meeting on the 25th. And then yesterday, the 26th, we have an informational meeting with the Visitors Bureau Board. Did I miss anything? Correspondence, a couple quick things. We got a letter from the DCED confirming that we have CDBG funds coming in the amount of $249,000 for this year. We also received from the governor's office this handout, which I put in your packet, regarding minimum wage is really what the governor's office was motivated to put this out for, but I thought there were some interesting stats in there pertaining to wages in Warren County, so I thought I would highlight that in your packets. This time I would ask if there's any public comment. Hearing none. You'll see the agenda before you today. The minutes from April 13th are in your packet. Any comments or corrections? Hearing none. Finance report.
As of today, we have $1,915,216 in both of our bank accounts. The savings account has $745,073. I finished the ARPA report that was on the 30th, and we'll see the second half of the ARPA funding drop into our account by June 1st, I believe.
Good. Any questions or comments? All right. Proclamations. We have several of them on the agenda today. We'll start with Correctional Officers and Employee Week. Whereas Pennsylvania's correctional system is the oldest in the nation, evolving from the establishment of Philadelphia's Walnut Street Jail in 1773 and the Eastern Penitentiary in 1829, and whereas the Pennsylvania system, as it became known, was the leading influence in the development of penology throughout the 19th century and the forerunner of modern corrections, and whereas today, Pennsylvania faces new and difficult challenges in corrections with 26 state correctional institutions, a training academy, 14 community correction centers, 39 contract facilities, a motivational boot camp, 63 county jails and prisons, and 15 federal institutions. Our correctional facilities house more than 100,000 inmates. And whereas the secure and safe operation and management of those facilities on a daily basis rests in the hands of more than 28,875 trained, skilled, and dedicated corrections officers, professionals. They are administrators, corrections officers, counselors, treatment specialists, educators, clerical support staff, business administrators, purchasing agents, personnel and labor relations specialists, clergy, medical professionals, food service specialists, computer technicians, planners and research analysts, and skilled craftspeople upon whose skills, efficiency, and professionalism the functions of the Pennsylvania correctional system depend. Whereas, although each of these dedicated professionals work in a different field and specialize in a specific area, all are committed to a common goal: the secure, safe, and humane operation of our Commonwealth's correctional facilities. Now therefore, we, the Commissioners of Warren County, proclaim May 1st through the 7th, 2022 as Corrections Employee Week. We also encourage everyone to recognize the vital role those dedicated professionals play in ensuring the effective operation of our correctional system in the interest of public safety. Adopted today. Commissioners, any comments? This time I'd ask if Warden Collins has anything he would like to add.
I'd just like to thank you for the recognition. Thank the correctional staff. They do a very thankless job. Often they have to put their emotions aside, knowing different things about the crimes, the charges that the individuals are placed in there. They have to be fair and consistent with everybody. So ethically, they do a fantastic job. The sacrifices they make, personal lives for the facility, second to none. They do a great job.
You're here. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming and appreciate all the work of the employees of the gym. Next, Apraxia of Speech Awareness Month. Whereas childhood apraxia of speech causes children to have extreme difficulty planning and producing the precise, highly refined, and specific series of movements of the tongue, lips, jaw, and palate that are necessary for the production of proper speech. Today we want to recognize Childhood Apraxia Speech Association of North America, whose mission is to strengthen the supportive systems and lives of children with apraxia through informational support related to CAS on their website, which is www.apraxiakids.org. The Board of Commissioners of Warren County proclaim May 2022 as Apraxia Speech Awareness Month in Warren County. I know the family that normally comes was not able to make it today, so any comments? Very good. Moving on, Commissioner Durbin, motorcycle safety.
Yep, Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month. Annually, the Warren County Board of Commissioners adopt this proclamation in support of motorcycle safety through rider education programs and public awareness programs to try to reduce the number of motorcycle accidents and deaths. Whereas the month of May has traditionally been proclaimed as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month to urge all motorists to utilize this period to better recognize issues related to motorcycle safety. Now therefore be it resolved that we, the County Commissioners of Warren County, hereby proclaim May 22nd as Motorcycle Safety and Awareness Month, and we commend the Gold Wing Road Riders Association, Chapter Q of Warren, PA, for their successful efforts in teaching motorcycle safety and awareness. And being a former motorcycle operator, I recognize the need to really, for motorists to actually be careful on the roads. Had been in situations where they weren't, and fortunately have avoided accidents. And for those of you who are interested or motorcycle riders, I would also encourage you to take the motorcycle safety course. It's very beneficial. It teaches you a lot of the awareness that you need and how to mitigate accidents in the event that something comes in your way.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Would you also please read the skilled nursing?
Yep, National Skilled Nursing Care Week. Whereas established by the American Healthcare Association in 1967 and always beginning on Mother's Day, National Skilled Nursing Care Week, formerly known as National Nursing Home Week, provides an opportunity to recognize the role of skilled nursing centers in caring for America's seniors and individuals with disabilities. Nurses are a key component of the healthcare system and have an important role to play in people's lives by nature in their keen judgment, compassion, and clinical experience. And nurses are trusted health professionals and committed to preserving and protecting our public healthcare system. And nurses advocate on behalf of their patients for an environment that promotes safe patient care, dignity, and respect. And whereas nurses also have the right to work in an environment that promotes safety, respect, and dignity for the nurse, and whereas nurses are on the front lines in the fight against pandemics, which we know recently and in times of emergency can face long hours and extreme conditions while putting themselves in harm's way as they face the threat of infection and serious illness. And now for there be resolved that we, the Commissioners of Warren County, hereby proclaim the week of May 8th through 14th as National Skilled Nursing Care Week in Warren County. And be it further resolved, urge all citizens to join in celebration and recognition of nurses and their unique ability to have a positive impact on the lives of those in their care, adopted the 28th day of April.
Thank you. Yeah, I don't see any SNFs represented today. We do have representatives from mental health.
Welcome to the Mental Health Awareness Month, which after the past couple of years seems like a big, pretty important month to focus on. Let's see, whereas on behalf of the citizens of Warren County, Pennsylvania, we are pleased to join Forest Warren Human Services and Forest Warren Mental Wellness Association in promoting May 2022 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Warren County. Mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. All Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives. 1 in 5 American adults will experience a mental health issue this year. Promoting the Awareness Month provides individuals in the mental health community an opportunity to educate the public and policymakers about the social and financial effectiveness of services available. Prevention is an effective way to reduce the impact of mental health conditions. There is a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges to protect their health and well-being. Mental health conditions are real and preventable or prevalent in our nation. With effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can and do recover and lead full productive lives. Each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the effects of mental health issues and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts to reduce the impact of mental health issues. Therefore, we, the Commissioners of Warren County, do hereby proclaim May 2022 as Mental Health Month in Warren County. We also call upon citizens, government agencies, public and private institutions, businesses, and schools in Warren County to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, the steps our citizens can take to protect their mental health, and the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions. And the only thing I would add is that we're in full swing advocating in this year's state budget for increased base mental health funding. We've already had 24 counties in the state pass resolutions in support of that. I expect there'll be another 24 coming up in May, because many of them scheduled to pass in May. This is going to be a huge priority in the month, and I think that given the circumstances in the past couple of years, I think that we're going to try to do as much as we can in May to really focus on this as an issue. With that, with the Human Services folk here to make a...
I'll just add, just to make people aware about some of the activities coming up in May. There is a Jessica Salopek 5K where I know Human Services will have a table, and other providers in the community will also have tables set up there. Also, the class of 2025 is doing a walk starting at Betts Park, I believe. There'll also be informational tables set up there. Human Services will have one. And partnering with Carrie Swanson and her group CORE, there will be billboards that she's sponsoring set up throughout the county that students from the art classes at Warren County School District did. And then a few of us voted on those, and those will be up in the county on some of the billboards. So is there anything else, Carrie, I missed?
CORE is having a mental health golf tournament on May 21st that will benefit CORE to do education awareness in the county.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your service. With that, I would ask for a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I will make the motion to adopt the consent agenda.
A second.
Motion made and properly seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise, motion carries. Old business, we had talked at the last meeting about the Council of Governments ordinance. We're going to continue that again. In a couple weeks, we have an executive session to talk about legal matters pertaining to it in the near future. I can't remember the dates exactly.
Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday, okay. So on to new business. First, notice to award for carpet installation. For that, I'll turn it over to the Chief Clerk.
We went out for bid to do carpeting in the basement hallway and the first floor. and we are awarding that to Youngsville Hardware for a total of $21,000 or $36,000. First basement is $14,000, first floor is $21,000. And hopefully next year we can put in the budget to have the second and third floor done.
Good. Any questions?
Were there any other bidders?
No.
This was it.
It's in line with previous bids, though.
Yes.
We've selected them before.
And I think that'll be a very popular project in the county, because those always need to be done like that, so.
Yeah, that'd be rough. All right, well, then I hear a motion to award to Youngsville Hardware.
I'll make the motion to award the carpet installation to Youngsville Hardware.
I'll second.
Motion made second, any discussion?
Just say that I'm really glad that we had a local agency bid on this, and it's great that a local company can do the work.
Okay.
Rick?
No further ado, all those in favor of the motion to award Youngsville Hardware, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, the infamous tree cutting properties in Madison Avenue. I know that there had been some public pushback, I suppose, because the public thought that there was one tree that was getting cut for about $12,000.
This is along the lines of when we cut that tree
Yeah.
down outside, you got,
Right. I think with
There's
people,
extra
well,
zero
yeah,
on it.
that was not our fault. This is multiple trees, like clumps of trees, for one thing, over at this property. Because of the massive size of the one and where it's leaning, we need to bring a crane in to remove it. So that's why it's so expensive. It's not a simple one little tree on a property.
And we're beginning to get complaints from the neighbors because these limbs are falling on their property, close to their homes, where their kids play, and they need to come down.
So with that, the recommendation from maintenance and the chief clerk was to go with Bentley Tree Service for a total of $10,200, correct?
Yes.
Any questions or comments? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to award to Bentley Tree?
I'll make the motion to award to Bentley Tree Service.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded, discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, as discussed on Monday, the MCM Consulting, which is an entity that we've worked with extensively on various plans for the county, has offered to do a professional service agreement with us for a schedule of hourly fees that are listed in your packet in order to vet the idea of county refugee replacement. This would be largely hazard identification and risk assessment. I don't think it would be project management generally speaking, but should we need their assistance, I'm sure they would be able to help. I have reached out, just as an update, to both of you over the last couple of days to some community members who I thought would be excellent liaisons on behalf of the Commissioner's Office in order to help facilitate conversation. They're going to get back to me on their availability, but I wouldn't expect there to be any cost related to their volunteering. So that's primarily the holdup, I suppose, on having the next meeting, if you would, with various stakeholders on what we would be doing. But I think that regardless of the outcome of a community-based task force, we would like to have MCM essentially do a risk analysis and come up with mitigation efforts in order to continue on with the county refugee replacement plan. So with that, I would ask for your support and a motion to approve hiring MCM, again, at the schedule listed above, to provide those services.
Just a few thoughts, I don't know if you want me to share those now. That there is no maximum in the contract, so I'd like to see something that would say, you know, where there would be a stopping point, and then if we need additional hours or estimates, that we would consider doing that. And I think that from a public perception perspective, and I think it had been mentioned earlier, you know, this is more of a community feasibility review, maybe not so much a hazard mitigation related to refugees. And I know that's what they do and do a great job for the county, but just want to think through, not so much thinking that it's, you know, hazard identification, more a community feasibility review to see what type of resources we have in the county and, you know, what type of services would we be lacking, or do we have plenty of? So those are my two thoughts about the proposal.
Sure, I think for a maximum, there wasn't one put in the proposal, but in your motion, we could certainly put a cap.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I know you've had conversations with them, so I didn't know if they kind of threw anything out as it related to what their thoughts were as far
It
as.
was, well, this was their proposal as a scope of work,
Sure.
but because it's not exactly a common thing, it's not like a hazard mitigation
Right,
plan or
right,
something. They
right.
don't really have any hours estimated. It's kind of a use us as you want kind of agreement. So I mean, I would be perfectly comfortable putting some sort of a ceiling on it of $3,000-4,000, something like that.
Yeah, I think $3,000 seems good. And then as I'm just kind of looking through some of the services here that they've, it very much looks like, you know, refugee hazard identifiers, but I don't know that all of those will need to be evaluated. So, yeah, those are my comments. So I
think
will.
Through everything in the kitchen sink in.
Yeah, I'm sure they did. Yeah.
We'll need to prioritize.
Yeah, yeah, agreed. So I would recommend making the motion to approve MCM to conduct these services and putting a cap of $3,000 on there, and then just keeping us abreast of, you know, what hours have been spent, which I'm sure we'll all be very well aware of as they move forward with this particular program and project, which I think is a positive. I'm looking forward to seeing. I think I personally have gotten a lot of positive feedback from people in the community who are, you know, believe this is a good idea, who are offering their services, their homes, all kinds of different things to try and make this a success if it is feasible.
Very good. I heard a motion.
You did. In too many words.
I'd second it. I mean, I have a couple of, I guess a couple things related to that. One is that is $3,000 going to be enough for this generally? And the second, another thing is like the time frame. Like they haven't put anything in the proposal about what the schedule would be to carry this out. My other question is like, I mean, I like MCM, they're good, but is there any reason we shouldn't draft an RFP and then have multiple agencies bid on it?
So I think it's mostly a matter of timeline. The Department of Homeland Security opened up today, or maybe yesterday, the portal to start accepting applications, and so I think it's more of a matter of time. In fact, we've worked with MCM so closely. And again, they have a very experienced staff of at least one military officer, if not more, who have directly worked with refugees. So that's why I pretty much strongly recommend MCM over anyone else. It's mainly timeline and experience. As for the timeline of their part of the proposal, you know, I didn't ask them for anything detailed. That's why this is really kind of generic. The meat of it is the hourly rates. In order to have flexibility, if we say we need something done next week, I would anticipate them to jump on it. You know, I think it's something we need to ride.
And the other thing was, is Trish's motion was for $3,000. Is that going to be enough? Because that seems low to me for something like this. I mean, are they going to be conducting interviews? They're going to have to meet with different people. I mean, they're going to have surveys, you know, and other stuff that they're going to do. I mean, is 3,000 enough?
I guess my thought would be that if and when they did hit that $3,000, that we would reevaluate the project, and if there needs to be more, then, you know, we could bring it up. That was more of my thought than anything. I just don't like to leave things open-ended if not all possible.
No, I definitely understand the idea of a cap, and I agree with that as a concept. I mean, my thought would be to probably set it more like 10, because they're probably going to at least end up at 6 or 8 for this. We'll start with 3. We'll go 3.
Maybe compromise at 6 or something?
Well, why don't we just stick with 3? I'll call the question on the motion.
Final thing that I wanted to say was, I think there's at least some misunderstanding that people think the county government itself would be the entity that's bringing in refugees. And I wanted to highlight that I really see the non-government organizations, the NGOs, such as the churches and individual organizations being the ones that truly do the work. As I've said before, the county government is strong at one thing, which is being a blunt instrument of justice. When it comes to individually loving particular persons, that's not something that we are very well adept at doing, just because of how government is set up. And we really need to lean on organizations such as the churches that have, many of them have called me in full support, and they're the ones that are willing to put up financial resources and provide housing and transportation and that sort of thing. What we're doing in our role is simply to enhance what those organizations are already doing, because if they individually go work with the federal government, they won't have as much of an impact if we essentially band together as a group, identify the risks, identify the opportunities, and work together as a cohesive group. So again, I just wanted to be clear about what I view the county's scope in this being. It's fundamentally that risk assessment, feasibility study, and aggregating the responses, and then having a unified front as we present the options to the Department of State and Homeland Security. With that, all of those in favor of approving the MCM schedule with a cap of $3,000, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Next, the Public Defender's Office has submitted a proposal for BTM software. This, I believe, is case management software, and I would ask that either IT Director Bill Gallagher or Court Kinney, the Public Defender, presents their case.
Yeah, so we've been looking for some case management software. We've explored a couple different options. The software we have right now is practically useless. We haven't been able to, it's clunky, we just haven't been able to use it at all. BTM software, they provide the software for the District Attorney's Office and also probation switching to BTM. We did do a demo with them. There's a lot of things that we can do through the software that we can't do at all, and there's a lot of things we can do better. I think it's crucial for our office for a number of reasons, as far as case tracking, conflicts, keeping lists of numbers and those unsentenced in jail so we can put them at priority. Auto-generate letters and reminders to get people to show up to court, which saves sheriff deputies costs and time. They did provide us a statement of work, which has been provided, and also I thank Bill for negotiating down to what I feel is a reasonable price, I guess.
So if I read the contract terms, they're $3,500 per year, and then implementation fee of $2,500?
That's yep.
That's correct.
Okay.
Initially, they presented a $7,500 per year without an implementation fee. It went back and said, we can give you an implementation fee because we need to give you some money up front to assist with implementation. So that's successful. And then we need to get the annual recurring cost down, and we were able to get that down to $3,500. So I think they were pretty fair in their negotiations with us, even though we pushed kind of hard on that. So we were able to get that down. As Cord mentioned, the office is running basically on paper and Word documents, and they really need to have a case management, records management solution. The software also sends out notifications, electronically, and a lot of different things, to just make the office efficient. And they should be as efficient as the other side of the courts, the DA's office. So, that's just part of how this should work. And that's what the proposal is intended to do.
Is there any big differences in this particular software product versus the clunky one as far as pricing goes?
I believe the UCM software that we're using right now is around $1,600 a year. Well, I shouldn't say we're using. It looks like the office has been paying $1,600 a year for.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that's been the $1,600 a year that's been spent has not been put to use because it has not been a viable solution for the public defender's office. And that's just has not been a good thing. So looking at a piece of software that will be used is really, we want to thank Court for saying, hey, we need a piece of software, we need to use something so that we're efficient. And that's kind of the charge, that we were up against, is get something in that office.
And I knew it was crucial when I started in November, and we tried to make the UCM software work. We had a hours-long training with them to get us up to speed. And I mean, I can see why the office hasn't used it, I guess. So we've looked at a couple different options, and I think this is the most user-friendly, I guess.
Can you repeat which departments currently use BTM and or will in the future?
DA's office, adult probation. So and DA's office has been on that solution for 15 years. They've been with that vendor for 15 or so years. So it's a vendor that, from an IT perspective, we're very comfortable with their support and how they manage that piece of software. And then adult probation is going live this month with that solution. So having 3 offices with the same solution, allowing us to bring them onto the same server with the same support provider, that allows IT to be more efficient, with those offices from a support perspective. So it's kind of a win for us as well. So we don't have yet another support vendor that we're having to, work with, I guess.
Any other questions?
Make a motion to adopt the agreement with BTM.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the statement of work with CDI BTM for public defender software. All those in favor of the motion, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, the standard agreement was passed annually with the Erie County Coroner, Lionel Cook, in order to provide forensic pathologist services. This would be for the 2022 calendar year, so extend back to January 1st through the end of the year. This would be for the coroner at $3,500 and the district attorney at $1,500. For years, it was lower than that, but I think a year or two ago it raised up to that, and I haven't seen significant price increases since. Honestly, it's well worth the money, because it would cost way more for Warren County to try to provide those services. It's great to be able to latch on to Erie County. Any questions? Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve the agreement with the Erie County Coroner?
I'll make the motion to approve the agreement.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The ayes have it. Motion carries. Next. Bear with me while I scroll down to the next. Scantech, yes. Document conversion. For this, I'll turn it over to Lisa Haggard.
The Human Services has over 400 boxes of Northwest Youth Development permanent files in their basement, and we would like to get those scanned in, and so they are
I'm assuming they have money in their budget to be able to do that.
Sorry, we were planning to pay for this for funding.
Oh.
I'll second.
Okay, motion made and seconded to accept Scan Tech's proposal. That was in the amount of $70,009.50 out of ARPA. Any questions, comments, concerns?
And the idea again is this material takes up its amount of space. If human services were to move or anything, we'd have to find a space to put it in, store it on a regular basis. And frankly, due to the legal nature of the documents, they really need to be permanently stored.
All those in favor of the Scan Tech approval, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Next, Commissioner Eggleston, Transit Authority local match.
So that's just the annual local match that we authorize for them. This is for their next budget season, which starts in July.
This will be for the 2021-2022 season, in the amount of
36 something.
$45,720. Have a motion to approve.
I'd encourage, I think Commissioner Eggleston, or if you're still on the board, you just want to recuse on this vote.
Okay.
I'll make the motion.
Second. Discussion.
I'm assuming this is in our budget annually.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
This would authorize me to sign confirming that.
Yep.
All those in favor, please state aye.
aye.
Motion carries. Finally, an agreement with Johnson Controls in order to do fire alarm inspections. Chief Clerk, weigh in on that.
This is a 5-year agreement at $740 a year, and this will test all the pole fire alarms throughout the building,
Just this building.
just the courthouse.
Any questions? One of those things, thanks for identifying it. I'm scared to think when the last time was they were tested.
At least they'll be consistently tested for the next 5 years.
Exactly. Okay, I hear a motion to approve the agreement with Johnson Controls.
I'll make the motion to approve the agreement, Justin.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Discussion. All those in favor, please state aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carries. All right, Commissioner comments. Just a couple. Last night, we had our Penn State Extension quarterly meeting. A couple of fun things to note. There's a Penn State Master Gardener's annual plant sale coming up on May 21st. They're also having classes on water bath canning, eating healthy foods on a tight budget, and there was some discussion pertaining to the highly pathogenic avian influenza. Apparently it is hitting the southeast part of Pennsylvania pretty hard, and probably just a matter of time before it gets here. It'll have major impact on especially chickens, whether that be brooders or egg layers. It will also impact the environment, generally speaking. They feel pretty good about their ability to control the farms that have birds, but the problem, of course, is that the avian flu can pass through migration, and so again, it's probably a matter of time before it gets here. I encourage anyone that has chickens in particular or waterfowl to check out the extension's resources related to it. The other thing that was discussed, of course, was spotted lanternfly. Started in Berks County a few years ago and has been making its way across the state. The hope has always been that they wouldn't survive the cold winters north of 80. However, from what I understand, the quarantine region has reached Clarion and Jefferson, so it's just a couple of counties away. So be on the lookout for spotted lanternfly and contact Penn State Extension if you see them. Finally, chronic wasting disease. I haven't heard any updates lately on concerns related to the discovery of a first case in Warren County. Hopefully, again, that will be something that will go through its several years of quarantine, and then without any new cases will be a moot point. So that was it for Penn State Extension. The Conservation District, they've given out several awards, and been overall doing a great job on staying in the budget. Same thing with Penn State Extension. They will want to discuss, or I guess let you know that they are asking other counties about whether their conservation districts are independent or whether they're part of, whether they're county employees, doing an analysis of wages and those facts. And they'll be reporting back to the board recommendations in the coming months, which may have an impact on the allocation that Warren County provides to the conservation districts. They may be making requests in the fall that differ from previous years. Yeah, that's
Fair warning.
The other exciting news is that they're making excellent progress on the other half of their conservation district building. Hopefully within the coming months we'll be able to have some sort of an open house there for the other half, which has taken many years to open. COG Fire Services, the main thing that I would highlight there is, first of all, I believe we have a meeting tomorrow. At the last meeting, it was pointed out that several townships, or several municipalities, Pleasant, Meade, Clarendon, Sheffield, and Cherry Grove are working together on an intergovernmental cooperation, which is very exciting for EMS services. So I want to applaud them, and if you're available tomorrow afternoon, we encourage you to come to the meeting. EMS Council has not met in a while. We had a bylaws revision that basically says now we'll just be meeting annually and or as necessary at the request of the Department of Public Safety. So if the Director of Public Safety has a particular task or reason for asking the EMS Council to do something, then they will, but otherwise it's kind of become a defunct organization in some sense. And then the LEPC, unfortunately I wasn't able to make the last board meeting for some reason, I can't recall what, but I know our DPS staff has spent a significant amount of time organizing the LEPC purchased equipment that is at our warehouse, and there may be some additional costs that were not budgeted but will be requested for organizing those, such as bins, and I'm not sure what kind of shelving you would need, something along those lines. On one hand, I wish we could push it into the next budget year. At the same time, we're tripping over stuff at the warehouse, and organizing that stuff is going to be paramount for operations. So it's kind of becoming an emergency. Other commissioner comments?
I apologize because I think this is an oversight on my part, but wanted to appoint the county engineer at this meeting and didn't get it on the agenda.
It'll cost money, and frankly, I haven't had a chance to look through all the proposals either.
Do we need to have them start work in the next 2 weeks?
Well,
Can it wait?
it can wait. I just want to make sure that it absolutely is on the agenda in 2 weeks. The reason being is to have them potentially work on grant projects and whatnot. So anyway, I just want to make sure that's on the agenda in 2 weeks.
Because as a cost, I don't think we could vote on it today.
Well, I mean, it doesn't technically cost anything. If they were going to do any work, they would provide us with proposals of what that work would be. But we're not paying them anything.
We're just designating them.
We're just designating them.
Right.
But you're accepting their hourly rates and stuff like that. I'm not sure about that. Anyway, let's postpone that discussion.
In 2 weeks.
We'll discuss it in 2 weeks. Anything else? Hearing none. Any department updates? Okay. We have a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned. 12:45. Thank you, everyone.